This is GHOne TV. It's time for us to bring you some news updates here on Newsroom. My name is Abna Owusunyameche. First, here are our top stories. Acute water shortage hits Sekondi Takoradi metropolis following severe pollution of the Pra River. We'll get a live update on how residents are struggling to access potable water. More than half of the 11 paramountcies in the eastern region entangled in protracted chieftaincy dispute appeal to the IGP for protection. Also coming up, Cabinet to resolve the long-standing stalemate between the Ministry of Health and the University of Ghana over the management of the $217 million medical hospital that has been left to waste away for over 12 months. Meanwhile, in Dodowa, a medical facility constructed by the erstwhile Mahama administration has been abandoned for months. We will be live in Dodowa to find out the state of this facility and why it has been abandoned. These and many other stories coming up. Reason you should stay with us here on Newsroom. You're welcome. Here's our first story. For some time now, the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis has been experiencing long spells of water shortage. At times, the shortage will drag for days. Now, currently, residents of Kojokrom and its environs have been without water for the past 2 days. Two of the treatment plants for the Ghana Water Company Limited have been producing below the operational capacity.
The Water Company Limited is embarking on a desilting exercise of its intake points, which is expected to be completed soon. Western Region Chief Manager of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Engineer Teku Kujo, explained that it has become necessary to embark on the exercise so as to improve on water supply to the metropolis.
What we can bring in to the metropolis, and of course the level of consumption for the public also goes down. Our businesses, our industrial customers also would have the effect of this shortage in water. But we are hoping that once we get this exercise completed, it should bring us back to levels of 5.5 million gallons of water daily.
The desilting exercise is being done at a cost of 60,000 cedis at the Dabwase intake alone.
And we can quickly go to that area, Sekondi Takoradi in the Western region, and speak to Empire FM's Emmanuel Ohenejani. Emmanuel, thank you for joining us here on Newsroom. So how are residents coping with this water shortage?
Well, the situation is quite bad, Abena. Like you said, the regional chief manager mentioned. If you go to areas such as Kojokrom, IAD area, the Smith Flat area, Chapel Hill, and the rest, I'm told it's also affecting academic activities at various schools, since children would have to go and queue for water. Some would also have to rely on wells and the rest. And my check at some polytank joints also suggests that the sale of polytanks is also going up, as a lot of them resort to store water because of the rationing exercise. So the situation here in the metropolis is quite bad, Abna.
But what has accounted for the pollution of the River Pra per your checks in the community?
Well, we are told, even though the activities of illegal mining on the Pra River has gone down, some people still find their way on the river, especially at night and midnight, to carry out their illegal mining operations. Apart from that, field has also engulfed most part of the Pra River, which is also a major source of water source to the Ghana Water Company. You know that the Pra River produces water to the Bushmaster water treatment plant, where it goes through treatment processes. So, according to the Ghana Water Company, even though the turbidity values of the water has improved, they feel that they can still do better if the illegal mining is totally eradicated, and they are also able to deal with the fate that involves the Pra River.
And the official of the water company told us about a desilting exercise. How soon will this exercise end?
Yeah, it's estimated, or it is expected that the exercise will end either tomorrow or Saturday to pave way for the supply of water to some of the worst hit or the worst affected communities in the metropolis and beyond.
Thank you very much. Emmanuel Ohinejan is with Empire FM in Takoradi, and he joined us with updates on the water crisis that has hit the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis. Right now, we're moving straight to the eastern region, where more than half of the 11 paramountcies in the region are entangled in protracted chieftaincy disputes, often causing insecurity. Now, the situation is indifferent in most divisional and subtraditional units. The Eastern Regional Security Council has warned that numerous chieftaincy disputes in the region threatens the security of the region, as many deadly clashes and violence seldomly occur. Now, the current trend in chieftaincy disputes is Okuapeman, as effort to get the successor to the late Osiadeyo Adedankwa has led to intermittent violence. 2 sub-chiefs were arrested on Wednesday by national security and police at the palace, and the Queen, who is feeling insecure, has fled the town seeking refuge in a different community, and she has also been compelled under the current atmosphere to rule from outside the community. So these are the issues in the eastern region, and we will speak to Kojo Ansa, who is our reporter in the eastern region. Kojo, so what has really accounted for these chieftaincy disputes in not just one but 11 paramountcies in the region?
Yes, Abner, as you rightly said, this has been a great concern to the Regional Security Council, because apart from even the 11 paramountcies that we have, that most of them have issues with chieftaincy disputes, the sub-traditional and divisional traditional councils all have issues with regards to chieftaincy disputes, and it's all over the eastern region. So the regional minister, who is the regional or the chairman for the Regional Security Council, is worried about the situation here, and they're appealing to the Regional House of Chiefs and the National House of Chiefs to ensure that they resolve this impasse that we have with regards to our traditional councils. And I mean, the major cause has been who is the rightful heir or the successor to the vacant seat, and this normally occurs in between the gates that are supposed to elect the rightful person to occupy this traditional stools, and this mostly, enters into chieftaincy disputes that we've recorded in the eastern region here. So it is a very great worry, and as you said, the current issue happening at Okuapeman is also a very great concern to the Security Council. And of course, yesterday there was one also that happened at Akwemu Amanfo, which is near in Sewoma Dredge area, whereby we even had some security officers who were supposed to even. With regards to the Akropong one, which 2 persons, including high-level legends.
Kojo Ansa reporting from the eastern region. Right now, the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Shirley Ayokoboche, sparked a heated debate in Parliament when she appeared to brief the House on the status of the 2 ex-Guantanamo Bay detainees admitted into the country under the Mahama administration. Now, the minister revealed the duo is now the responsibility of Ghana following the expiration of the 2-year agreement with the U.S. government.
The Anyaso-Wutom MP further made some startling revelations in the agreement which had to be sent to Parliament for ratification following a Supreme Court judgment. According to Shelley Ayoko-Boche, there was no exit plan in the agreement. She added, the decision to grant the two refugee status by the Mahama administration makes it practically impossible to send them back.
The very last minute during my negotiations that they had been granted refugee status and that they are indeed refugees in Ghana. This meant that they could only leave this country if they consented.
Ayoko-Boche nonetheless assured appropriate authorities are examining the matter for a permanent solution.
We are constrained as a government to explore any other option at this time. But then we will await an in-depth examination of the issues by the appropriate agencies.
Minority spokesperson on Foreign Affairs Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa described the assertion by the minister of lack of exit arrangement in the agreement as strange. He, however, assured of willingness to assist government in arriving at a decision.
We need to know if it is the case that the Foreign Ministry did not have records of this refugee status. And right or not, Speaker, we also know that refugee status is also for a period. Refugee status is not permanent, it's not forever. That information has not been provided to this House. This House deserves to know how long the refugee status is. Has it expired? How many months more do we have? I believe that this is information that is vital.
MP for Kaikwe Central, Patrick Yao-Boama, admonished the minority to refrain from playing politics with the matter since government is trying to clear the mess created by the past administration.
And so this matter has sparked a lot of reactions on social media, among others, and some analysts have also been speaking. Well, here at GHOne News, we have been speaking to a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana School of Law, Kwejo Apieje-Etua. Take a listen to what he told us.
In a sense, it is justified because when the person attains a refugee status, his whole status in the country changes. At first, it was for a 2-year period, subject to negotiation or whatever. But before the 2 years would expire, they have been granted refugee status. And as a refugee, he has every right to remain in the country and enjoy some rights and privileges. He cannot, or they cannot be taken out of the country in this case because of the situation in that country. I understand they come to Yemen. Yemen is now in a state of terror.
This is Newsroom on GHOne TV. If you just joined us, you can also send us your comments via any of our social media platforms. But these are the stories to expect. Cabinet to resolve the long-standing stalemate between the Ministry of Health and the University of Ghana over the management of the $217 million medical hospital that has been left to waste for over 12 months. And we'll take a trip to Dodowa, where a medical facility constructed by the erstwhile Mahama administration has been abandoned for months.
Precious one, I'm Bishop Charles Ajinasari. 2018 will be my 35 years in a miracle ministry. And in every nation I've been to, the power of God has been present to save, heal, and deliver. I want to specially invite you to our Miracle Festival at the Independence Square from the 30th of January 2018 to the 2nd of February, 5 p.m. each night. Beloved, bring the unsaved, bring the hurting, bring those who have problems, and the power of God will be present to save, heal, and deliver. Jesus is the same yesterday, he's the same today, he's the same forever. And so I'm specially inviting you to this miracle festival. Join me. Your life will never be the same. Invite your friends, invite those who are sick, bring them, and God will touch them. Minu of bra, unyankopon de nsa be count. Anyami nke ba nyumbo ke ni ba ta ohe. Novio miva mauna kasimi.
It's the word of God, the miracle. It's the word of God in your life.
Wondering where to find the best and affordable goods and services on the market today? Then Let's Go Shopping is the answer. Let's Go Shopping is your #1 telemarket. You can advertise your products on Let's Go Shopping this and every Saturday at 10 a.m. only on GHOne TV.
You're welcome back. Let's do some stories relating to health. And the $217 million University of Ghana Medical Center has been left to waste away for over 10 months since its inauguration by former President John Dramani Mahama in January. Now, the ultra-modern facility was envisaged to be fully operational by the end of 2016, but there are reports of a tussle between the Ministry of Health and the leadership of the University of Ghana over control of the facility.
The first phase of the University of Ghana Medical Center, which was completed in November 2016 and subsequently commissioned by former President John Mahama, was expected to begin operation in October 2017. But this did not happen following a new development where the Ministry of Health was ordered to oversee the management of the facility. The University of Ghana, which is the interim management of the medical center, has however not complied with the directive and intends to continue managing the facility. It is so far in the process of recruiting 13,000 staff for the facility. Public Relations Officer of the Ministry of Health, Robert Kujo, says the directive from the President must be complied with because all health facilities within the country must fall under the Ministry of Health, hence the decision to oversee the activities of the University of Ghana Medical Center.
The facility has been built. It's an unmovable property. Nobody is taking it. The whole idea is that the Ministry of Health should have overall or oversight responsibility of this new facility, just like it has for all other hospitals, so that the government will be known of what goes on there, what is being done and all that. Because after all, when it comes to training and then recruitment, it's the same health ministry.
Robert Kujo also revealed that the privatization of the facility, as the University of Ghana seeks to do, may not benefit the taxpayer.
If you look at the list of those who have gone through this recruitment exercise, if care is not taken, we will create vacuums and most of our major hospitals, because a lot of the names on their list, I'm told, are people who are already working in some of our major hospitals. So if we don't streamline, if we don't look at this critically and just let it go as it is, all the specialized doctors will just move in here. I mean, there may be a vacuum and we may even have a crisis on our hands. So all this must be looked at.
In 2012, Government signed a contract with Messrs Engineering and Development Consultant EDC of Israel to build the first phase of the facility and hand it over to the university. The university designated 400 acres of land for the entire project.
And while the tussle continues on that particular facility at the University of Ghana, a medical facility that was constructed in Dodowa in the Greater Accra region under the Mahama administration has been left to rot. GHOne News' William Evans Inkum joins us live from this facility with more on this. Hello, Evans.
Hello, Abna.
What have you observed at this facility? Tell us more.
Well, Abna, I get a sense that some of the community members are a bit of a discomfort zone because they fear they are going to lose that telepathy between the very facility that they established themselves and then the new one that has also been established to enhance health delivery as far as Shai Osudoku is concerned. Currently, I am the Shai Osudoku old district hospital, and this particular facility was established by the community somewhere in 1970 as a health post. Somewhere in 1985 it became a health center, and then in 2009 it actually advanced to a district health status. But as I'm talking to you now, it is no more in use because there's this new facility that was built under the $175 million agreement between government of Ghana and then NMS Infrastructure. Mind you, there are a number of facilities or similar facilities were also built across the country. You're talking about Formina, you're talking about Garutimpan, you're talking about Abetifi and other regions that also benefited from this 175 million NMS project. Now, the whole thing is that the community members, or some of them, are not happy because they are looking at the fact that something that was their brainchild, something that they started, now they are going to lose it. They were actually expecting the government to rather use that money to expand something that they started. So when they come here and they see some of the, for instance, some of the vehicles on the scorching sun, they see the ambulance here, they become agitated. They feel that, well, this whole thing is being left to rot. But the reality is that a number of the facilities where that this particular hospital was using early on has been moved to the new hospital, which is not far from this particular place. So the whole thing has to do with the transition. And if, well, we also want to know if communication was not as effective as it ought to have been as far as that particular transition is concerned, Abena.
And so where you are is an old facility and they are being asked to move to a new one, and that has created a problem.
Exactly.
But what really is their difficulty, Evans? Because if you need health care and there's a new facility constructed for you, what prevents you from going there?
Now, guess what? Somewhere in 2011, this hospital contributed enormously to the country's performance when you're talking about the Millennium Development Goal that has to do with maternal health. This hospital recorded 0%. In fact, they declared 0% to maternal mortality, and they were able to achieve that. I mean, they had about 208 health workers here who were all working assiduously to ensure that quality health delivery is actually given to the people. All manner of diseases were solved here, apart from those that were complicated and needed referrals to other major hospitals. So having considered all these things, and just within a span of 1 year, they are not going to see something they will call a brainchild. I mean, something that they built for themselves. They have to move to a different hospital, which is more advanced than what they are using here. As I said early on, the whole fear has to do with that telepathy that they are likely to lose, or they're losing, as far as the transition is concerned. Abena.
Do we have medical staff at this new facility, this old one and the new one?
Well, so the old one, there's no medical staffs here. Everything has been moved except some of the vehicles that they were using. I think they've developed 4, so they are still sitting here. But all the medical staffs have been moved to the new hospital. In fact, early on, I spoke to the health director. I'm talking about Shai Osudoku, health director, and he was telling me that everything is working at that particular place. I mean, they have new equipment, they have modern equipment that are taking care of the medical needs of the people. And somewhere along the line, the people were also talking about proximity. But the argument from the perspective of the health directorate is that the new hospital is not only serving the people of Dodowa, but it's serving other communities. So it was strategically built to ensure that everybody have access to that particular facility. And not only that, it was even saying that there are people who are coming all the way from Medina, Hacho, to access medical health there. And one particular thing that I also got from the people is the fact that attendance has dropped. Yes, indeed. If you're talking about the old hospital, that is where I'm standing here, somewhere around 2009, attendance was hovering around 13,000. Around 2015, it's even jumped to over 40,000. But if you go to the new facility, that is not there. But to the health director, it is subjective, because if attendance has dropped, it could be that the people awareness when it comes to healthcare has increased. So if people are not falling sick, and if they are not going through any kind of medical implications or complications, why should they come to the hospital?
Okay,
so the fact
but
that
Evans,
attendance has dropped does not necessarily mean that people are not patronizing the place. They are.
Okay, Evans, do we know what will happen to the structure behind you? Because it cannot just be left to rot like that.
Well, so that is the myth which we also need to demystify. As to what they are going to use it for has not been communicated. In fact, I tried speaking to the health director, and he was saying that he has not been given any permission to speak to the media. So we need to clear, or he needs to clear himself from the authorities, the national or the ministry, before he can grant us any interview. So
all right,
Evans, here,
thank you very much.
They're going to use it for anything.
All right, William Evantinkum joining us from Dodowa about that health facility that has been abandoned, and we are still in the health sector. Going back to our earlier story about the tussle between the authorities of the University of Ghana and the Ministry of Health. Cabinet, we understand, will be meeting later today on the issue. But let's have a quick conversation with former Dean of the University of Ghana School of Public Health and Foundation Vice Chancellor of the University of Allied Sciences, Professor Fred Binka. Prof, thank you very much for joining us and your patience. First of all, this whole brouhaha between the Health Ministry and the University of Ghana over the management of this facility, what's your take on it?
Well, thank you for having me. This is a very strange development. I think the concept of building this university started a couple of years back, and I'm sure there was complete agreement as to what was going to be done. It is strange that at the end of having the facility ready, we are now thinking about how to run it. I think from the word go, the university was supposed to run this hospital. And so the hospital was built with that in mind as a teaching hospital. People have been trained to run the facilities in the hospital. Fortunately for us, we've had the training and the staff are ready. So I don't personally see what the problem is. I think that, I mean, briefly, I think the university should be given the opportunity to run the hospital. If this is new, this is also good. Maybe in the past, the ministry used to run the hospital and the university used to use the services. But what is wrong with now, a facility that is on the university campus and allowing the university to run it? At least we shall learn lessons from that. So I don't see what the problem is, really. And everybody is baffled as to why we should leave the facility to rot and while people need care. So the earlier they sorted out this problem, the better.
It's quite interesting that we are even having this conversation where we have areas where people are struggling to access health facilities. But you have immense experience in this sector. What is the best practice when it comes to managing such facilities?
There have been mixed models across the world. There have been mixed models. In some models, it's an independent group that runs the hospital and the university provides services. We've also had places where the university actually runs the hospital, and some of the top university hospitals in the world are run by universities to a large extent. Ghana started with a makeshift hospital setup where the medical schools were built around existing Ministry of Health hospitals. If at the time the University of Ghana Medical School was built, the hospital was also added as part of the building, I'm sure these arguments would have stopped. And we all felt that this was trying to actually meet this demand. So I think the hospital is sitting on University of Ghana campus. They are going to provide most of the specialist staff that are going to run there. The professors from the university are going to be providing some of the top skilled staff services. So I don't see why the Ministry of Health should be wanting to run it. I'm not sure why they want to run it. Yes, the ministry will provide some nurses, you provide some allied staff, X-ray technicians, and so on and so forth. But the key consultants are actually from the University of Ghana. And so it makes a lot of sense to allow the university to run it.
But most people have argued that looking at this facility, the Ministry of Health will be bearing the cost anyway. Government would have to pay. And we heard from the Health Ministry's PRO who believe that even the current recruitment that a hospital is undertaking, we have staff from other facilities who are applying. And so it will take a toll on the already existing health facilities. Don't you think that argument is valid?
Well, it is valid, but we are talking about running a hospital which is sitting on the university campus. And where the top decision-making people who are going to provide services there are from the university, are from the university. So I don't see why they want to add this to become another problem. Kolebu is there already having its problems already and struggling to get the place well run. So why don't we give the university a chance to see whether this model will provide us with a better way of running teaching hospitals?
Prof, finally, before I let you go, there's one other issue about the siting of health facilities. We just reported from Dodowa where a facility has virtually been abandoned because of where it is. The residents are complaining about the distance. What do you think should be taken into account when siting health facilities?
Well, the health facilities have to be serve a geographical area, and I think it's part of our cultural problems that we have. It's not only this particular facility. If you watch most places, when there's a health facility, instead of it being in the town, it's at the outskirts of town, in a way that our people think that you don't want those diseases to come to the other houses and settlements in the area. But hospitals must, the important thing is access. And I would prefer that the hospitals are built in population areas where people can have easy access day and night. And the concept then was because of the infectious nature of diseases that we're having. Today, most of the diseases we're having, actually, the hospital can be in the middle of the town and there will not be a problem. So I think when we are going forward, we should look more towards the access to the hospital 24 hours a day, and tie these things in human settlements that will allow people access. Because time is of the essence. Most of the diseases we are going to have time elements that if you don't get there early, the chances of survival are small. So if we have those conditions in mind, then these things should be placed within human settlements.
It's been a pleasure talking to you this afternoon. Thank you very much. That was Professor Fred Binka. He's former Dean of the University of Ghana's School of Public Health and is currently the Foundation Vice Chancellor of the University of Allied Sciences. Newsroom will be back right after this breather. And we are back on Newsroom on GHOne TV. Right now, we are taking you to Parliament. We understand the Minister for Agenda and Social Protection, Oti Kujaba, is speaking. She's before the House talking about the issue of witches' camp up north. Take a listen.
And we have identified the hotspots nationwide, as well as the various shelters. We need to look at the numbers, and that's what the mapping will provide, to be able to let us know how many will need to be reintegrated with their families, and then how many will need shelter, and the shelters that are around, will they be able to accommodate the numbers? And so through the mapping and the various discussions we are having with the various shelters, we'll be able to provide that information when we finish the data collection. The issue of families living on the streets is another issue that we address in the Operation Get Off the Street. Some of them are foreigners, and so we are engaging Ministry of Foreign Affairs to find out whether we can send them back. If we can't, then in discussions, they will also have to be part of the shelters that we are talking about. Some of the children ran away from home. Some of them are orphans. And in discussions, we'll be able to find out whether there was abuse at home. Is that why they ran away? I met a young boy who had actually run away from home from Togo, and he walked and hitchhiked his way to Accra. Another boy comes from Ashama. Why is he on the streets? He said he didn't have a uniform. So we were able to locate his family, reintegrate him back, only for him to run back after 2 months. He was brought back to me. I asked him why. He said somebody stole his uniform. And so you have quite a number of recalcitrant children. And it's not something that you can just finish in one day. We have a 5-year plan to be able to work out, because these are sensitive areas. Why does a child keep running away from home back onto the street? And it's not good enough to just send them back. You need to have discussions with their families and reorient their minds, the psychological issues. And so we have a 5-year program to be able to organize all these things and eradicate streetism. It doesn't mean that they will no longer go back, but we will also talk a lot about the fact that it's a crime to actually be on the streets. And we are also in discussions with the various media houses to educate our people that begging is an offense, and that those of us who give to beggars must not continue to do that. And those of us who allow the young boys to clean the windscreens must also stop. Those of us who buy from the hawkers must stop. It's demand and supply. So we need to do a lot of advocacy, and that's what we are on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to know from the Minister, in answering Honorable Ayamba's question about shelters. Honorable Ayamba generalized a question about shelters, but I want to be specific, because in paragraph 4 of her answer, she says, in as much as we are providing shelters for the Kaya year, does not mean that we want to encourage them to stay in Accra. Can she be specific where the shelters are in Accra? Thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable Minister, where are the shelters?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I didn't bring the figures and the data, so on another day, another occasion, I will bring the list of the shelters and where you can find them. Thank you very much. And as well as the locations, I will bring them.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Honorable Ayaliga, the last question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The question was asked about the location of the garment factories. Just to indicate that there are garment factories at Ajabeng, not far from the major scene of the Kayi activity, which the minister can take advantage of. But the question is, Kayi is of the design of our markets. That is why there are no Kayi apart.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, no human being should be a donkey, basically. And the dehumanizing nature of the existence of the Kayi is at the core of everything that I do personally, given the fact that I also come from the northern part of this country. And so because of that, and through the various dialogues that we have held with them, one, we have actually gotten the Kwame Nkrumah University to design a trolley that can navigate our markets. We've also gotten gratis to do another variation, and it is still not meeting the needs of, to be able to design a trolley that will be robust and manageable in our markets, so that we create jobs for them in the area of pottery. If you want to be a potter, then with the assemblies, you can be engaged as a potter. And also, for those of them who are of school-going age, the mapping will indicate, and then we will send them to school. Those who can be part of the garment industry or hairdressing or any skill that they are interested in, we intend, through the new LEAP, the Cash Plus, to move them away from the handouts and give them a handout, so that we give them skills training and also support them to start up their activities. We're also in talks with the AGI and with civil aviation, as well as tourism, so that the hotel industry can engage some of them, as well as the food processing industry. Indeed, some of the 400 that we trained have been gainfully employed in some of these, I don't want to mention their names, in the hotel industry and in the fast food industry. I also propose that for various activities in the area of catering for various ministries, we have trained the Kayi in catering. And so instead of getting food delivered from somewhere else, it's an avenue for the Kayi to have jobs and funds for themselves. So we have a holistic program to end Kayi in the next 5 years. It is a solid program, and we are going to come with a policy. And we have a Kayi module for the YEA. For as long as there is a Kayi, then the work of the Minister for Gender is not over. Thank you very much.
And that's Gender Minister Otiko Afisajaba answering questions from parliamentarians, and we'll be bringing you more later this evening on News Tonight. Right now, former President John Ejikun Kufuor has called on ECOWAS to find a long-lasting solution to address the nomadic Fulani herdsmen menace in the country.
Precious one, I'm Bishop Charles Ajinasari. 2018 will be my 35 years in a miracle ministry. And in every nation I've been to, the power of God has been present to save, heal, and deliver. I want to specially invite you to our Miracle Festival at the Independence Square from the 30th of January 2018 to the 2nd of February, 5 p.m. each night. Beloved, bring the unsaved, bring the hurting, bring those who have problems, and the power of God will be present to save, heal, and deliver. Jesus is the same yesterday, He's the same today, He's the same forever. And so I'm specially inviting you to this Miracle Festival. Join me. Your life will never be the same. Invite your friends. Invite those who are sick. Bring them, and God will touch them. Minuad of Ubra, Unyankopon and Sabe count. Anyami, Inkeba, Numbokan in a batahe, Novio, Niva, Maunaka Simi.
It's the word of God, the miracle you need. It's the word of God in your life.
This is Newsroom on GHOne TV. We do apologize for that technical hitch, but let's take a listen to former President John Kufuor, who has added his voice to calls for ECOWAS to find a lasting solution to the Fulani menace.
I know that ECOWAS currently is being addressed with this matter that could lead to clashes even among our countries. But I think we should step up with the protests we make at the assemblies of ECOWAS for all the countries to come by common policies on how to control the nomadic herdsmen. What we should be perhaps thinking about as policy is encouraging the local governments across our country to see if they could develop ranches that could be leased to these farmers, herdsmen. So when, say, they are forced by climate changes to come here, they know where to go to, and they should be directed to go there. It should be law enforcement. And if they should violate the laws, then the laws will deal with them, seriously. But so far, I'm not aware of such ranches. We could generate resources for the local councils or assemblies to use in also providing services for their people. And of course, if we could shepherd the herdsmen to move in this direction, then the settled farmers too may protect their lands, and they could pursue their agriculture with some peace, and to avert the clashes that we are now being subjected to.
Now, a 21-year-old student of the Ejusuman Senior High School in the Ejusu-Jabing municipality of the Ashanti region has disclosed how they exchange sex for money from their teachers to pay their fees. According to the young student, whose name has been withheld, of course, a majority of female students are faced with financial constraints, hence their engagements in sexual bouts with their teachers and the assistant head teacher. She made the revelation on Ebusia FM's morning show hosted by Kwame Adinkra, explaining what actually transpires in the school. Isaac Bediako has more in this report.
According to the 21-year-old student, teachers threaten to sack them from class or make them fail during exams if they refuse to satisfy their sexual pleasures, hence they always succumb to their teachers' pressures. She alleged that some of the teachers sometimes seize their phones, shoes, slippers and threaten to return them after sleeping with them, saying they are now living in total fear. However, speaking at a news conference in Ejusu, the board chairman of the school, Reverend Father Dr. Paul Atansia, described the allegations as false. He rather accused the Nkosuohene of Ejusu, Nana Kofi Opoku, of sleeping with the students in exchange of of mobile phones, saying the chief incites the students to disrespect the teachers.
Last 2 weeks, make us say, the declared woman and Nako say, your person or mine here, any traditional council in Asia. It is all be a no account. Let me know no enemy. Aha, and now, a bright year charging while you're feeling Nako on, and a Nura and Opa, or no such as yes, but Yakoma, a year chronicle for publishing, now the Abbey center of discussion. It's yet now, Emma.
Meanwhile, the Adresum Koswohene Nana Kofi Opoku has rebutted the allegations leveled against him. He has threatened to sue the school's board for defamation.
Let's bring you some business stories now. And registered small-scale miners in the country collectively lost some $551 million as a result of the ban on mining activities. The Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners says the figure is bound to go up if measures are not taken to lift the ban.
The ban on the activities of the small-scale miners, which was imposed early last year as part of the fight against galamsey operations, is yet to be lifted. The October 2017 timeline given by government was extended by 3 months, prompting protests by the small-scale miners who contend those who are legally registered are unduly being punished. General Secretary of the Association, GHOne Newsroom, explains over 4 million people are being affected by the continuous ban and calls on the appropriate authorities to institute immediate measures to ensure the ban is lifted immediately.
The Ghana Statistical Service has announced producer price inflation for the month of December rose to 8.9% from the 7.1% figure recorded in November. Deputy Government Statistician Anthony Amuzu, who addressed the media, said that 9% change in the monthly rate was mainly due to petroleum price increases.
The Deputy Government Statistician Anthony Amuzu explained petroleum inflation rose to 36.4% from 27.7% in November. He also noted the mining and quarrying subsectors recorded the highest year-on-year producer price inflation rate of 19.1% from 14.4% in November, while manufacturing rose to 8.8%, an increase of 1.6 percentage points higher from the 7.2%. Utilities inflation for December 2017 was 0.1 percentage point lower at 0.4% from November's rate of 0.5%. With respect to the monthly changes, manufacturing recorded the highest rate of 1.5%. The utilities subsector recorded no change, while the mining and quarrying subsectors recorded the lowest rate of negative 0.6%.
The year-on-year inflation from the producer's perspective recorded the highest year-on-year producer price inflation rate of 19.1%, followed by the manufacturing subsector with a rate of 8.8%. The utility subsector recorded the lowest year-on-year producer inflation rate of 0.4%. With respect to the monthly changes, manufacturing recorded the highest rate of 1.5%.
Let's now take a look at some international stories.
Zimbabwe's longtime leader, Robert Mugabe, would be left in peace with a lucrative retirement package, his successor, Emmerson Mnangagwa, has said. However, Mr. Mnangagwa told the BBC that no one had been granted immunity from prosecution. Many Zimbabweans are hoping Mr. Mugabe and his family, who became known for their extravagant lifestyles, would be held to account for their actions. Mr. Mugabe was ousted in November following 37 years in power. In that time, Zimbabwe fell from being known as the breakfast of Africa to a country which struggled to feed its population. Meanwhile, Mr. Mugabe's wife became known as Gucci Grace for her love for luxury goods. Meanwhile, just 2 weeks after the new administration's anti-corruption agency announced an investigation into the First Lady Grace Mugabe's PhD, the thesis of Zimbabwe's former First Lady has been released for all to see almost 4 years after she submitted it. The 226-page document entitled The Changing Social Structures and Functions of the Family was published on the University of Zimbabwe's website under Mrs. Mugabe's maiden name. The degree has been controversial ever since it was awarded just months after Mrs. Mugabe enrolled at the university in 2014. Doctorates typically require years of full-time research. And President Donald Trump has for the first time said that he is prepared to be questioned under oath as part of an investigation into alleged Russian meddling in the U.S. 2016 elections. He said he was looking forward to it, subject to the advice of his lawyers. Investigators are assessing if Mr. Trump's campaign colluded with Russia to influence the election in his favor, a claim denied by Mr. Trump and Russia. Investigators will also determine if Mr. Trump obstructed the inquiry. The U.S. intelligence community has already concluded that Moscow tried to sway the presidential elections in favor of Mr. Trump. The president had previously said he thought an interview was unlikely because there had not been any collusion.
And we'll round up with some sports news. Here are highlights of the Carabao Cup, the semi-finals between Arsenal and Chelsea.
Wilshere and Xhaka to get forward a bit more. Not only that, he is in charge of the VAR back at Stockley Park. And here they go again for a fifth time this season. It's a risky pass though, it's gone straight to Alonso. Here's Bakayoko. That's been one reason why they've got so close and beyond Chelsea. Pedro Hazard's on the move, he's played in. And Chelsea take a deserved lead after only 6 minutes. He certainly did. He's been